contingency fund, the sheriff's office budget, the animal care and control budget, and the mental health budget are all ones where we continue, along with those departments, to have concerns about adequately funding them. So, budget guidelines, you've seen these before, and this is what we looked at as we were going through the budget, so I'm not going to go through these again. I think there were, how many? So there were 10 of these, and that's how we approached the budget. The restructuring guide then talks about how we would look at some efficiencies, because budget is not just about cutting money or adding money someplace else. It's about looking at how we can be more efficient. And so there are things that we're looking at in the court facility transfer process. There are things that HHSA is looking at, and certainly the permit streamlining process is another example of streamlining and efficiency. And so I wanted to highlight that as one of the strategies. Doesn't necessarily pay dividends immediately, but over the long term it does. And then the revenue guidelines are, just all the things that we look at, and as departments request assistance in looking at potential revenues, that's something else that we really want to focus on this next year. So, you already heard from Meredith on the revenue projections. I think the interesting thing is right now our assessed valuation is about 6.33%, and the prior year level was a 6.3% increase from the year before. So we're actually staying even on that, which is a good news. And then the fund balance at this point is around 1.3 million, and we'll talk about that later when we go in the spreadsheet. So, in terms of the compensation, we budgeted the market adjustment and the COLA in January for SEIU and 5 other units. The remaining units, which I think are about 3, had different ways of doing market adjustments and COLAs and different time frames, but they all were roughly in the same ballpark in terms of the dollar impact. And then at this point, we are projecting for planning purposes a health plan increase at 16%. But an actuarial review will be done of the proposed premium rate increase before it is implemented, before it comes to you for your consideration. So there's a compensation policy, and plans have basically been adopted through the MOUs with each of the bargaining units. And then this is just talking about how we implement that compensation policy, which I know you're familiar with. 1000 series. This is kind of interesting. The budgeted amount in our proposed budget and carried forward into our final budget proposal is around $112 million. The budgeted amount for last fiscal year was around $106 million. So that's an approximate 6% increase in the budget. Between last year and this year, we implemented step raises as we do, and because of the way we did the rolling 5% a year and a half ago, or a year and 3 months ago, there are some people who are eligible for a step raise now that hadn't been before. So probably this would be their last step raise, but step raises are an issue for budgeting. Market adjustments, the COLAs, the health plan premium increases, we're all expected to be around 11% by the time you kind of leaven out the fact that they don't all get implemented for the full 12 months. Some of them are implemented for 6 months of the fiscal year, some for 12 months, some for more or less than that. So rough estimate of around 11%. So the budget you see before you actually trimmed out 5% of the expected increase by projecting higher vacancy rates and other cost-saving measures. And I think that's a very important thing to know, that that's a significant savings, and it kind of has offset the increase that would have been expected if we had just implemented it straight ahead. Then there's the discussion of debts and liabilities. And in 2005, we set the amortization schedules. And the schedules were adhered to in 2005-06 and 2006-07. In 2007-08, direction was made to recalculate that amortization schedule, and some money was pulled out of the scheduled payment into teeter. However, in the fund balance and in the closeout of that year, we were able to make the full payment for last year for the teeter plan. So that's the good news. And so that's an important thing to know, that through the present time, we have been able to stick with that amortization schedule that was adopted in 2005. And obviously, adherence to the schedules is very, very important. So the teeter plan, this is just the explanation. However, last bullet here, liability now around 17 million. Now that includes interest. That includes the fact that we've just taken on the latest liability without having the revenues come in yet. But what this says is this is something that we have got to stay on